The text for the Bhashya classes, the weekend Bhashya classes, have been put. Oh, I thought it was here. Yeah, Mundakopanishad with Bhashya. It says here. You can download that and keep. So you can have that, and then so that I don't have to look all over the place. Once you download it, maybe I can request you to migrate to the live stream, so we can be done with one medium we can be totally done with, huh? You can do that? Or are you really attached to this classroom only? Huh? Yeah, Harihi Om, if you are just joining, since today is the first day, we are beginning little late, meaning just 2 minutes late. And if you are just, here, Toti, click on the link provided here earlier. Here is the link, look. Right there is the link, you click on that, you will go to live stream. Now, I am thinking that instead of looking all over and in the book, because Bhashya also requires to look in the book, so one less electronic medium to look at. And so in that interest, I am thinking that once you download your Bhashya text here, and those of you who are on live stream, and you can give them the Adobe link to if you have, and then you can give them, so they can go here and download the Bhashya class, the text, and then you can migrate to here, so that I can give you my undivided attention. ठीक है? So I'm going to shut this off.
Oh.
No, this one.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I haven't told them yet.
Yeah, you can tell them.
Yeah, but I haven't given them the link.
But even if they have the link, even if
you
I'm
don't
not
need
there,
to, that's true.
yeah.
Swami,
Ah,
That's
maybe
true.
we can write the message.
what message?
That's
That's what she's doing.
That's what I'm doing.
Oh,
That's exactly what she's doing.
no, I mean there before we shut that.
That link is also already there.
Okay.
So they
So
are
people,
they are linking.
If they log in late, they will see it all.
Yeah, they will see the link.
Oh,
And I can also put a whiteboard and say
yeah.
download the thing.
And I think
And
go
go
into
to
live,
live stream.
yeah, and go to live stream. I think that's what I'm
No, that we have already said go to live stream.
Oh,
we have
okay.
given the link there.
Oh, it's from yesterday.
What
This is
yesterday's
the-
link is
yeah.
still there.
This is the link for
So
text form.
download your texts and then go on live stream, so that it's one less, so that you can have my undivided attention. But if I put the whiteboard, they cannot access the text.
But they can download it.
They cannot.
No. Oh.
Ah,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh, someone's just gone to go and get it.
yeah. So therefore, I think we should not do this. We should say stop sharing
Oh.
and hide this part. That's the problem, because it
Oh.
just puts it across
Oh.
and nobody can download the text.
There's no access.
There is no access, it just pastes this white piece of thing. You encountered that. Yeah, so you know.
Took me a while to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, so please come here to download the text, and I will keep it on just in case. Just for today, don't get used to it. Because sometimes if I'm not there, it boots people out too, so we don't know what's happening. And this, you want this?
Yes, please, Swamini.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Vidyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I'm going to teach a new prayer. We'll be chanting in the Bhashya classes. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam not Paryantam, Paryantam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Sadashiva Samarambham Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. I bow to the lineage of Gurus, starting with Bhagavan in the form of Lord Dakshinamurti, Sadashiva, the one who is entire lineage, Parampara, lineage. Para and Apara together. Yeah. So, this is what it is. I bow to the entire lineage of Gurus, starting with Bhagavan, and in the middle of which lineage is the shining star, maybe comet, because so brilliant and so short, in the form of Adi Shankara, and ending with my own teacher. I bow to the lineage. Nowhere else is the lineage shown to be so important as in the Mundakopanishad. It starts with the story of a lineage. Because, as we know, every Upanishad begins with a story. Every Upanishad may not begin with a story, but definitely has a dialogue, either overt or implied. But many Upanishads have stories. They begin with what is called, generally, Akhyayika, a storylet, small story. And this small story serves a number of purposes. Like we have seen in Kathopanishad, it serves to bring to stimulate even the most sleepy, red, tamasic of the minds, correct? And of course, present company excluded, online and in the presence here. We are talking of people who are not interested in the Upanishad at all. They are, they are interested in other things that the world has to offer. So then the Upanishad also has to compete now. As it were, okay? Upanishad doesn't compete with anyone. But as it were, since the distractions are so many, and the person who is studying the Upanishad or who is being dragged to study the Upanishad is what is amid the distractions. So the Upanishad also has to, as it were, it looks like, has to go down to that person's level, because the person is mired in the whole anitya, world of anitya. What is anitya? That much we should know if we are studying Bhashya. And so in the world of anitya, the person is mired. And in this situation, there is no space to admire the Upanishad. So the Upanishad has to go to speak to that person's level. It's not that the Upanishad is watering itself down. The Upanishad is trying to reach out and bring even the one who is nimagna. This is a word that you will find in this Upanishad a lot. Nimagna means drowned. Yeah. Where nimagna? Samsare nimagna. Glub glub. Final glub. Finished. Drowned. And this drowned person, not drowning person. Drowning person is aware that okay, there is some rescue needed, but this is a person past needing rescue. And even such a person, the compassion of the Upanishad is so much, even such a person it tries to attract and bring out of the drowned state of samsara. Drowning means aware. There is a present continuous. There is this feeling, I don't want to be drowning, but somehow I am here. Help, rescue. Where is a straw? I want something to take me out. Drowned means ignorant of ignorance. Yeah. Samsare nimagnaha, samsara nimagnaha. In samsara, drowned. Even such a person, Upanishad is like a loving mother who reaches out and resuscitates, gives CPR to this drowned samsari, and the person coughs up the samsara. Correct? Out of all the, ears and eyes and nose and toes, everything, the samsara, phlegm is coughed up. The kapha. Kapha means tamas, all this phlegm. The person thought I am flamboyant, but actually it was flamboyant. Person wasn't flamboyant at all, wasn't even buoyant. Glub glub, I told you. Final glub has been said. And the Upanishad is so loving, so compassionate, lifts the person up, drowned person, everybody has given up on this person. But Upanishad does not give up. That is her quality. She doesn't give up, and she takes this, what is that? Pronounced dead upon arrival. Jiva. Dead to what? Dead to one's own glory. Dead to this knowledge that proclaims the glory. Dead to, the Atma Vidya, one's own self, knowledge of one's own self. Deadened, in other words, if not physically dead. And then the rescue mission, including putting the person on the side back with the head on the side, CPR, compressions. This is the this happens. This is like and the various Upanishads have different CPR methodologies. Ah. First, sometimes there is a shock treatment, because nothing else works. Correct? Sometimes there is the shaking treatment, shock treatment. Brahmavida apnoti param. No akhyayika, no time for stories and all. It's too late. This is a wake-up call, a shock treatment. Begins with that. None of your, babhuva, a long time ago, papracha and babhuva, all these, what is that? Parokshe lit, this, what is that? This tense, remote past. There is no remote possible. The person is too remote for remote. Any remote, stories. Once upon a time, there was somebody, and that somebody went to another somebody. All this, there is no time. There is no time for all that. So suddenly shock treatment is there. And some Upanishads will just, tell you things as they are. And then sometimes, many Upanishads, there are these stories. And the stories go to the depths where nothing else can. This person drowned in samsara knows only samsara, knows only things that smell of samsara. Nothing else. The person will not be awakened to anything, deadened to everything else. So then the Upanishad has to begin with a story. The story serves the CPR purpose in a slightly gentler way. You don't have to go clear and then what is this? Paddles, electric, to resuscitate. So more gentle thing. And here, and the story serves the purpose of a gentle resuscitation. Using the same weapons as the samsara itself. What does samsara do? Samsara strings a red herring. This is what samsara is famous for. Red herring means false leads. Everything is a false lead. Oh, sail. Oh, sail. Oh. When you hear the word sail, when most people hear the word sail, they sell their brains off. That's what is on sale. The brains are on sale because they don't even stop to think, what is that thing being sold? Do I need it? No, it's only, 25% off. That's all that one hears. It's a partial, selective hearing. Too much build-up of samsara there. Selective hearing. 25% more. This is an American way. What more means what? It's a bigger package. 25% more, 33% more. They get you by all these kinds of red herrings that lead to nowhere. Oh, but I got more. Yes, you go to such places, you have to buy a lot more. Or sometimes they will use the other kind of what is that? The link. Another link is what? It's only 18 cents per piece. Oh, 18 cents per piece. That is wonderful. 18 cents of what? Paper towels. You use every day, except in UG. Yeah. Here people don't use, which is a good thing. So only 18 cents. But you have to buy 1,500 of them to qualify that. So, in your will you will write, I am leaving mega amounts of paper towel rolls for the next 7 generations. Dhanyoham, kritakrityoham. This is the situation. This is what is called a red herring. It leads to all these false leads that leave the person, without any leads really. So the Upanishad also deploys this red herring methodology, but leads you to the truth very nicely, smoothly. And the red herring methodology is what? Listen, there are these two people. Oh, as long as it's not about me, I will listen. Okay, what? There is Nachiketa. Oh, so cute, because it's a small boy. So sweet, so cute, how nice. Yama, ooh, okay. Not interested in Yama, but everybody has a little appreciation of the macabre. Yes, which the Upanishad very cleverly deploys in the Kathopanishad. And here too, this begins with a Akhyayika, which has the purpose of resuscitating this samsari, as we have talked about. And it also has another purpose, is to show the main brush strokes that this Upanishad is going to be using throughout, like the outline, the structure, the skeletal structure is talked about in the beginning story. Usually helps to understand the main themes that the Upanishad is going to be dealing. And so too in this Upanishad. That's why we chanted that prayer, because here the Upanishad is going to talk about some main themes, and the primary theme is the question of parampara. What is parampara? Lineage. And again, what kind of a lineage? It's not there are many kinds of lineages. There is a hereditary lineage, genealogy.com, ancestry.com, and you can see where your ancestors were. You can go on that site and you can look at all those surnames, last names, everything. And that is called a hereditary lineage. That is not the lineage that's being talked about. Here a special kind of lineage is being talked about, which is called Guru Parampara, the lineage of teachers. Before they were teachers, what were they? Students. This is something wonderful. Yeah. This is something wonderful, and this is where the hope is. Not that one wants to become a teacher. That's not the issue here. And in fact, that's not why anybody studies the Upanishad or the Bhashya. Yeah. Because even if that is the initial drive to study so that I can teach, but really speaking, that drive quickly goes away, or has to go away, because it comes in the way of the assimilation of the knowledge. So, why is this a sign of hope? It's a sign of hope in two ways. Because regardless of whether one wants to be a teacher or not, that this is how the knowledge is gained is something which is very hopeful. Whether I teach or not, that I am a student of this lineage who then can potentially become qualified to share this knowledge when asked. That becomes a very big, thing. It's a very huge thing. It's a hope. And it's hopeful because unlike predominant theologies, what do they say? I am the chosen one. You are not, I am God or the messenger of God. You are at best odd, So there is that difference, and sometimes a lot of, unfortunately, even in our traditions, we have certain dubious, quote unquote, lineages. They are not lineages because the person, he never says, I learnt this from somebody else. I am the starter of the lineage, the person will say. Wants a lineage, but wants to be the author of the lineage. Sampradaya is another name for lineage. And wants to be the author of the lineage without what? Without having been taught. So such a person is called Sampradaya Krit, means the one who has started a lineage. We are not interested in Sampradaya Krits. If anybody says, I have got this all by myself, what do you say? Keep the knowledge, enjoy it, don't give it to me. That is why there is hope. That this is the tradition that has started, which is without a beginning. We cannot even say the tradition started, the tradition is. And so that's why it's very hopeful, and it is extremely, it's a source of blessing, because I know I will not be misled. That is the thing. So it's hopeful that I will become like the teacher who is teaching this. One source of hope. Second source of hope, since it is a tried and tested path, I will not be misled. That's the second beautiful thing about this, the whole lineage thing. And the third most beautiful thing, one of the most beautiful things, is that is the possibility, to entertain the possibility that the teacher was a student before. Yenaiva yata yatato hi asya param tameva margam tava nirdishami. Where? Not Bhagavad Gita this time. Viveka Chudamani. That same Tameva Margam, that Marga, that way through which so many people have crossed successfully. No glub. They have crossed. Without falling, they have crossed. Using the Upanishadic bridge, they have crossed from samsara to non-samsara. And that bridge, the way to that bridge I am going to show you, says the teacher. That setu, that bridge I am going to show you. And so that's a very sure thing. It creates a lot of hope. This is there. This is why this Upanishad dwells a lot and makes as its central theme, and as well as its opening story, the Guru Parampara. It creates hope. And it creates hope not based on false premises. Oh, somehow somebody sitting under the tree got the knowledge. No. They got the knowledge in the same way that you are getting the knowledge. They sat at the feet of their teachers, who had sat at the feet of their teachers, who sat at the feet of their teachers, all the way. That's the thing. And because if you are a serious mumukshu and you go to a teacher for the knowledge, in the beginning, they will, you will see so many differences between oneself and the teacher. There are so many differences. You say, oh, how does he or she do this? I don't think I can ever do this. I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can have the requisite SDU, Shamadhama Uparati, SDUT, S, Titiksha, Shraddha, SS, Samadhanam, V, Viveka, Vairagya, M, Mumukshutvam. How can I don't have all that. And how can I behave also? This is what Arjuna said. How does the Sthita Prajnasya ka bhasha, how does the person of knowledge behave in the world? How can I behave like that? I can't, because I have so much raga dveshas. I am a walking storehouse of raga dveshas, warehouse. Yeah. Why warehouse? Because the person is nowhere. That's why only raga dveshas are there. I am this huge storehouse of raga dveshas, and how can I become like the teacher? In the beginning there is so much, feeling of difference. And the differences are important to see. It's not that the differences have to be, dismissed in the beginning. The differences are there for a purpose. The differences are actually artificially created by the Upanishad herself. Guru, Shishya. And those differences are important to maintain. And then it's like the last duality, the last frontier of duality. Before the knowledge is gained that the differences are as though Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. I bow to that Dakshinamurti whose body, whose form is like space. And what does he do? He just cuts through the divisions of Ishvara, Jagat, Jiva, Guru. Every division that I thought there is, every separation is finally cut through. Separations are cut through. And that is the most beautiful thing about the parampara. This is wonderful. Because to see that the teacher also travelled through this, and the teacher understands what I am going through, whether it's discussed or not, because the teacher has an understanding of this. That itself is so heartening. It's very heartening. So, one of the primary themes is Guru Parampara. That the knowledge is not gained apne aap. What is apne aap? By oneself. Yeah. And in fact, it is such a major theme in this Upanishad that it has prompted Adi Shankara to say, Swatantriyena Brahman Veshanam Nakuryat. May one not inquire into the Shastra. Swatantriyena, by oneself. Even if one is a scholar of Sanskrit. Shastrajñopi Swatantriyena Brahman Veshanam. Anveshanam means research into Brahman may not be done because Brahman is not worth researching. It's not the object of research. It's the content, the truth of the researcher. That has to be understood. So what research are you going to do? And this is what is talked about very beautifully. So this is a very important theme. And then the second theme that is there in this Upanishad. First theme is what? Guru Parampara, the knowledge gained by the Guru, the necessity of the Guru to gain this knowledge. This is a primary theme, one of the primary themes. The second theme is the uselessness, as it were, of the first portion of the Veda. This is a very, especially in the first portion of this Upanishad, Upanishad dwells on the fact that karma, which is the topic of the first portion of the Veda. I'm just giving just a general introduction. We'll go into all this in detail when we study Bhashya. Karma, which is the first portion of the Veda, the topic of the first portion of the Veda is action. Action and result. What kind of action? Action that is centered on the I, the Karta. And what kind of results? What kind of actions? Finite actions. Producing what kind of results? Naturally finite results. So that is the topic of the first portion of the Veda. That finite actions produce finite results. And the second portion of the Veda is for people who are sick of the finite. When do you become sick of the finite? When you have tried and tried and tried and tried and tried, because in every production, what you are trying to produce is not the finite but the infinite. Can you produce the infinite? No, it's not a product of action. It is uncreated, it simply is, and it happens to be you. That which is you. That infinite is you. So here, the infinite is trying to produce the infinite. That is the height of finiteness. Yes. That the infinite, the one who happens to be infinite, the infinite is producing the infinite through finite means and finite methodologies. This is not fine. This is what the Upanishad says. That you have to understand that this is getting a little difficult to manage. So I am going to ask you again to please go to live stream, click on the link. Okay? Yeah, this is going to be shut off. Thank you. Oh. Then we have the infinite is not a product, not being a product. Therefore, the person who happens to be infinite is not knowing that. So the separation between oneself and infinity that one seeks is not in terms of space or time, but in terms of the ignorance of my own nature. The seeker happens to be infinite. So the seeker now has to migrate from the first portion to the second portion, because the first portion of the Veda has fulfilled itself. It has fulfilled itself. We cannot say it is useless. It is useless for the seeker of the infinite. But it is useful. Why? Because the person who is drowning in samsara and doesn't know that they are drowning, it gives little pieces of flotsam and jetsam to hold on to. This is one of the main themes of the Upanishad. And then one of the few clever jivas, they are the collectors of this flotsam and jetsam, these little driftwood. The jiva is himself a driftwood, and the driftwood collects more driftwoods. Why karma? Pieces, uneven, water-worn, samsara-worn pieces. And then the person has a great idea. One is not enough to hold on to because it will break, it's dangerous. But if I have a few, then what can I do? I can tack them together. Yes. I nailed it, the person says. What did you nail? These pieces of aforementioned flotsam and jetsam. Not knowing I am myself flotsam and jetsam. And then the person wants to make a raft big enough to sit on. And then you need 2 more things to paddle, correct? Yeah. And then if you are a family person, you need to make a raft big enough to other families because you'll all go together, correct? Sink or sink together. No swim here. Yeah. So then the clever jiva, who is devout, don't think that the first portion of the Veda the undevout person looks at. No, very devout, Vaidika. Does all the karmas, has Shraddha, has Bhakti, everything. Decides to make a raft. Sits on the raft. Paddles. What happens? Yeah. Samsara tsunami comes. Because that's the what is this? This is the wave. It also is cyclical, and it also is drowning the flotsam jetsam. It's a breaker. And then what is this? It amounts to 0. Means you have come a full circle without going anywhere. The Upanishad says, Plavahi ete adrida yajna rupaha. These rafts, my dear friends, are extremely iffy. You think you nailed it, but what you nailed is just 2 pieces of the finite wood together, born of karma. They can help you paddle a little further in this ocean of samsara. But they are not going to help when there is a tsunami, when there is a breaker, you break. And so the Upanishad talks beautifully of the urgency to migrate into the second portion of the Veda. Because it's only the person who is sick of samsara. This also it says. The Upanishad, she's going to say that it's only a person who is sick of samsara can migrate. So you have to have two qualifications. One is you have to be so sick of samsara. First qualification to migrate and to study this Upanishad. And the second qualification is to have a little bit here to know that whatever I'm doing is not giving me the desired results. I want to swim out of this mess, but I'm sinking only deeper and deeper. This is what has to be understood. And so this is a second theme, an emergent theme especially, an emergent theme, an urgent theme, especially in the first portion of this Upanishad. And then the Upanishad talks about what is the difference, between what I was doing before, yeah. Or you can take it this way, it doesn't matter, clockwise, anti-clockwise. This is for people living in Australia. Yeah. So, and so here we have a very interesting situation because the Upanishad is telling that you have to be sick of samsara, because unless you are sick of this, you cannot do the migration. That's the first qualification. And the second qualification is what? The second qualification is that you have to have something here to know that whatever I have been doing is not working. I have to try something new. Those are the two things. Sick of samsara, I have to try something new. If I have to try something new, I have to let go of the old. Yeah. Here we can say, ring out the old, ring in and bring in the new. You have to let go of the old, because if you have the old thing sitting there, the new thing is not going to bless. This is what it says. The first portion of the Veda has a subject matter. And what is the subject matter of the first portion of the Veda? Artha Kama, very good. Yeah. Artha and Kama, Dharma also. Because Dharma we learn from the first portion of the Veda. When to do, what to do, what not to do, all this. So, Dharma Artha Kama, first portion of the Veda. So, Artha Kama means what? Security and pleasure. Why security? Why pleasure? Because I am insecure. That the first portion of the Veda does not concern itself with. Why? How mean? Why doesn't it concern itself with that? Because even if it did concern itself with that, the person is not ready to listen. Yeah. Person is not ready to listen. For one drowning in samsara. So this is a rescue, is a two-part operation, correct? The Upanishad, I told you, does the CPR on the shore, right? By all these methodologies that we are talking about. But somebody has to go and bring that person in a stretcher to the shore. That is the first portion of the Veda. That's what it is. It's a stretcher which, which shows there is a certain hope is there, certain thing is there. Dharma is the stretcher. And for the person for whom Dharma is a big stretch, they cannot study the Upanishad. So Dharma becomes the stretcher. So at least the person through the first portion of the Veda develops bhakti, shraddha, and develops this means ends connection. So some good things come out of it. But the subject matter of the two are entirely different. The subject matter of the first portion, is happiness. What do you mean they are entirely different? Keep listening. Yeah. The subject matter of the second portion is also happiness, but entirely different forms of happiness. First portion, anitya sukham. Second portion, nitya sukham. That is the subject matter, that is also the prayojanam, that is also the purpose. So what does the first portion of the Veda give? Anitya sukham. A sukha that has to be resuscitated all the time. A sukha that is permanently on life support, on a ventilator. You have to push the air in, push the air out, or gravity takes care of the air coming out, I suppose, when somebody is on a ventilator. And then everything has to be, all the bodily functions has to be monitored very carefully. And you have to monitor everything, you have to monitor the temperature, you have to monitor all the brain activity if the person is in a coma. So the sukha body is like that. It is lying comatose because its true nature is undiscovered, and it is being produced constantly through mechanical means of karma. Yes. Mahata ayasena, through great effort, it is being produced. Come on, breathe. So much, every yajna, every puja, everything is just trying to keep this sukha going, resuscitating. And sometimes it codes, the sukha codes, code blue. And then that's when one has the blues, okay? Yeah, that's why it's called code blue. Sukha codes. Oh, again, clear, resuscitate, come on, keep it going. Keep what going? Sukha going. Happiness you keep going. Because the sukha peters out. Why does the sukha peter out? Because the sukha that is centered on objects is as finite as the objects are. This is the Vishaya, the subject matter, as well as the Prayojana of the first portion of the the Veda. And then who is this attracting? You have to have an audience, correct? Who wants this constantly resuscitated sukha, refried sukha all the time? Who wants? Here nobody is raising their hands. But if you ask this question on the street corner, Saturday market, you will be thronged, you will become the most famous overnight if you offer sukha on a platter. That is the way to become famous. That's why people write books with happiness in the thing, how to be happy. And that's the kind of the thing. And it makes you famous overnight. But here, this sukha is just, for us, this is not attractive. Why? Been there, done that. That's what it is. That's part of the parampara. So we have here Guru Parampara. We also have a been there, done that parampara, which helps to graduate here, migrate to this side quickly. Because that sukha that you are trying to keep going on a ventilator at great cost and great effort is really doesn't need all these leads and wires and all these things. Oh, but it will die. Let it die. Because when it dies, you awaken to the fact that you don't need any ventilators. You don't need any rafts. You don't need any resuscitation. Why? Because you were not drowning. That ocean of samsara and sorrow that you thought you were constantly, paddling out of is actually an ocean. The ocean is but an ocean. This is the topic of the second portion of the Veda. The first portion also is sukha, anitya sukha. Second portion, Nitya Sukha. Ever, needing no props, no stretcher, no breathing devices, nothing to keep me going because I am that which I seek. The seeker and the sought, it completely conflates the distinction. So the takers for the first kind of sukha, which is the anitya kind, are many. Who are the takers? Unhappy people. Very interesting. And here, this side, who are the takers? Unhappy people. Takers means who is the audience for this subject matter. See, it's very interesting, very tricky. The subject matter itself is the same but not the same, correct? Sukha is the subject matter of both, but what kind of sukha? The produced sukha, whereas, one's own nature based sukha. The person to whom this is addressed, the one who is taking this body of knowledge, whether it's the first portion or the latter portion, is unhappy, correct? Is a seeker. There also is unhappy in samsara. And then in the first portion, wants to make samsara all right, wants to smooth out the waves and continue. And here, who is the one? He is also unhappy. He or she is also unhappy. But that's where the similarity ends. In the first instance, wants to just smooth out the wrinkles of samsara and continue. So therefore, you bring the yajna in the form of an iron, fire, coal, iron, and you iron out the wrinkles of samsara and the wrinkles on the forehead caused by stress, and then you continue as before, business as usual. Here, the audience is someone who is different. Who is the audience? Mundaka. That is the audience. Whoa. Mundaka. Yes. Munda means head. Ah. It's a pun here. Means it's the head of the Atharva Upanishad. Yeah. Shirsham also means head. Then why not call it Atharva Shirsha? Because that was already taken. Or if this came before, we don't know. They knew it would be taken. Therefore, this is Mundaka. It's a pun here. The head of the Atharva Upanishad, Atharvaveda, from which this Upanishad comes. Means the head is the main portion, correct? It's the source of the eye. That's why Ravana had 10 of them. Very heady fellow. And poor Lord Rama did not know how to vanquish him. So in the battlefield he is standing there in warrior 2 pose. That's how we got in the yoga pose warrior 2 from seeing Lord Rama alone. Yes, he is standing like this. Akarna Purna Dhanvanav. This is in the Rama Stotram it is there. Akarna Purna Dhanvanav means Rama and Lakshmana are standing. This bow which is made of this animal skin, it's not your elastic. It's got a little elasticity, but it needs a lot of bicep, tricep strength to pull it. And here, Akarna Purna, they have pulled it up to the ears. Rakshetam Rama Lakshmana. May this Rama and Lakshmana who are so strong to pull this up to the ears. This is the warrior pose, May they protect me. This is a nice shloka is there. And so he is standing like this and he is striking the head of Ravana, the many heads. And what happens to the head? Gets decapitated in the case of Ravana, okay? And then comes back and sits on the neck. Next one gets decapitated, comes back and sits on the neck. Which is the power of the head. So, one head means ahankara. Ahankara multiplied by infinite is Ravana. Ahankara stays no matter what you do. Even Bhagavan could not put out the Ahankara. Then somebody said, no. Somebody whispered to Lord Rama that if this battle is gone on for too long and you will continue doing this, don't do this. Yeah. Hit him in the navel. This is just a manifestation of the ego. That is the seat of the ego there. Oh, but that's below the belt. Doesn't matter. All is fair in war, especially if Bhagavan is the warring person. And here it's all symbolic. One becomes a Rakshasa with too much Ahankara, and then what? Then Bhagavan is giving moksha, this knowledge is giving moksha, that's what it is. So, in the first instance, the person who is studying this, is not a Mundaka, is not a person who has interrogated the head. This is the pun. The second meaning of Mundaka. What is the second meaning? The one who has Viveka and Vairagya. That is the Mundaka. The one who has the discrimination to understand the difference between that which is permanent and that which is temporary, and the gumption to pursue the permanent and eschew the temporary. That is Viveka and Vairagya together. So this is, in the first instance, the one who is not able to have that discernment, that this is only Anitya Sukha I am being offered, goes for that, is not a Mundaka. Here the person is a Mundaka. And in the ancient times, this Upanishad was taught only to people who had undergone a particular religious tapas, an austerity. And what was the austerity? First you shave the head. Oh, that I can do, no problem. Then on the newly mown head, you keep a basket of live coals. Ow, exactly. Yes. Then what you do? You circumambulate the entire ashram. How many times? 3 times. And then you circumambulate the Guru 3 times. And then you put the basket at the feet of the Guru and pray to be instructed. This is what is called Shiro Vratam. Yeah. The one who has done this Shiro Vratam is a Mundaka. Shiro Vratam means head ritual. Why should I do this head ritual? So you can be a little ahead in your studies. That's all. Ahead in Viveka, ahead in Vairagya. Because you see, there is all these interesting stories, even in the Upanishads themselves, of the teacher testing the student. The teacher doesn't need to test the student. The teacher is not some kind of a cruel person trying to test the student. No. If there is any testing, it is to see the seriousness of the pursuit. If any testing is happening, it is to see the seriousness of the pursuit, to ascertain the seriousness of the pursuit. And if the seriousness of the pursuit is wavering or not there, or ayaram, gayaram means coming and going, then the teacher is instructed by this very Upanishad and other Upanishads too, to discontinue the teaching. Yeah. This is what the teacher is instructed to do. And I have seen this. I mean, once in a very, in Rishikesh, another ashram, where they teach only in Sanskrit. Bhashya is taught in Sanskrit, the teaching is also in Sanskrit. And there were 2 students who missed the class. Bhashya classes tend to be small for the reasons we have already mentioned. Two students missed the class. And they didn't miss the class because they went to the movies. They missed the class because they went to a temple, actually. The teacher was wild. It was a calculated anger. It was not an outburst. And the teacher just said, strategic anger. And the teacher just said, if that's where your desire is, in the temple and the rituals, please stay there. And we are not going to meet from now onwards. That was the last class. I happened to be there. It was the last class. Was not picked up. And everybody else said, oh, but we are coming. No. There is a break. There is a disruption. You know, I've seen this. You have also seen this in Eugene itself. We have had unfortunate instances of aborted texts. Correct? Yeah. This is what happens. It's not that the teacher is trying to be cruel or withhold the teaching. No. This is the backing of the parampara is such, and the blessing of the knowledge is such, is that the teacher stops being mattering at all here. The teacher is not responsible for the communication of the knowledge except as a member of the parampara. As a person qualified in the lineage, that's where the teacher's thing ends. But really speaking, if these classes have started, it is because of you. Yeah, it's your own punya. Whoever you are, wherever you are. It's your own punya that has brought these classes forth. And it's the obstruction to that punya alone. If the classes do not continue, it will be because of that. So you have brought this forth, and then you will be the ones responsible to continue this. That is what it is. You have brought this forth. That is the power of adhikaritvam. This is what the audience matters, because this is parampara. We are not trying, it's not a movie, it's not a performance art, it's not a production. Just for some vague people out there who just have come for some, samsara resuscitation. Yeah, this is parampara, it's a transmission. And so, as long as the adhikaritvam is maintained, then the teaching continues. Yeah. That is what the thing is. So here, who is the adhikari? Who is the qualified person? The unhappy person, no doubt. But the one who knows that all the measures that I have taken in this and other lives to continue with the ironing out of this unhappiness is not working. So I want to let go of that, and I want to migrate over to this side. That is the adhikari. That is the one with shama, dhamma, uparati, titiksha, shraddha, samadhanam, viveka, vairagyam, mumukshutvam. More about that, we'll have lots of opportunities to talk about. This is just a broad overview. So that is the person who is called Mundaka. And this elaborate ritual is not a test, how many people dropped the ball or dropped the coals. No. It is to show the seriousness of the pursuit. And in the tradition, there are only two kinds of people, who are doing mundanam. Mundanam means shaving of the head. Who are they? The brahmachari, the student of the Veda, the first portion of the Veda, or sannyasi. And so here the brahmachari is not addressed. This is not an Upanishad for the brahmachari. Oh, why? Because the brahmachari is busy memorizing the first portion of the Veda. This is the Upanishad for the sannyasi. So you take sannyasa and then you come and study this Upanishad. Oh, but I haven't taken sannyasa. That's why we are going to have a short break right now. So you can do the needful. What kind of sannyasa? dress the heart in an orange frock. Inner sannyasa. Yes. Dress the heart in orange. Sannyasa means what? Let go. Samyak nyasa, the giving up nicely. What are you giving up nicely? Nicely means well done, well given up. Raga, dvesha, the predilection for going after the finite, and the titiksha, etc. So we'll take a 15-minute break to do the needful and then come back to see what do we gain out of this. And out of the first portion, what is the gain? And out of the latter portion, what is the gain? We'll come and have a little contrast session. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. 15 minutes. And I think it might be good to stop that and then start it up again.